Welcome to day 23 of our free sewing class. If you are just seeing this video, check my YouTube channel for day 1 to day 22. This is a 30 days sewing class that will teach you the rudiments of sewing and some tips and tricks on how to sew. Today we'll be learning how to cut and sew a simple blouse or a simple top. It can come in various designs. It has no zip because it is free. This is an example. This one is sleeveless. It has no sleeve and it is a scoop neck or a round neck. This is another type. This is a V-neck. It is also sleeveless. This is a round neck sleeveless. This has a ruffled sleeve and a veil neck. This has a circle or flare sleeve, and this has a pleated sleeve. Common thing about all these blouses is they have no zipper. They are free, and the neck designs might be different, but basically you just choose whatever design you want. And if you have watched my video on how to finish neckline, you should be able to finish the neckline, some with a bias, some with facing. All right, let's go. Let's cut. This is the fabric I'll be using for this type of design. You need, or style, you need a flowing fabric, maybe a chiffon or a silk. This is a flowered chiffon that we'll be using. Now, like I have told you before now, that when you pick your fabric, you look at the stretchiness of the fabric. Is it stretchy? So this is me trying to check whether it is stretchy. My material is not stretchy. Then after looking at the stretchiness, you look at your pattern. How do you want your pattern to be? You must be careful in laying your pattern down, because if you are not careful, you might cut the front pattern different from the back, which will not make sense. Then you fold into two. What determines how you are going to fold? Since this is a blouse, we will need the bust, we will need the waist and the hip measurement. So the biggest part is the hip measurement. So your hip divided by 4 is what you consider when you want to fold. Then, since it is a free blouse, after dividing your hip by 4, you will add ease allowance. That is the allowance that will make it free. The allowance that will make it free. So in this case, I'll be adding 1 inch ease allowance and 1 inch sewing allowance, meaning after dividing my hip into 4, I will add 2 or even more inches before I fold. So I'm done folding now. The next thing is, because it is a chiffon material, I need to pin it. You need to pin it so that it will not move. All right, I am now measuring the length of my blouse. Now it depends on how long you want your blouse to be. For this type of blouse, it's finer, or it looks nice when it's at your hip or a little bit below your hip, so that maybe you can wear like leggings with it, because it is free. So what you are wearing down should be fitted. So this is me. I already measured the full length of this blouse. I used 28 because I want it below my hip. My normal blouse length is 24-25, but here I'm using 28 because I want it very long. Then I will measure also my waist. So that this line I'm drawing now is my waistline. That is where I'll put my waist measurement. All right, let's go and work on the shoulder. As I have always been saying, you see this my 3, 5 and 1.5 inch standard. I always use it, except in rare cases when I'm sewing maybe a boo-boo or something else. But most of my cutting I must put. So this is 3 inches. From the 3 inches, I'll measure my 5 inches. And from that 5 inches, I'll go down by 1.5 inches. Then I will draw my slant line, which is the shoulder slope. After drawing this, I will put my back or my shoulder divided by 2 so that I can put my armhole. Now, because this cloth is more like, if you are so, I have not decided what I'm sewing, whether it will have sleeve or not. If it is sleeveless, then my normal armhole opening used to be 8 inches, but I'll put 7.5 because if it is sleeveless, I don't want that my armpits to show that much. I want it a little bit tight. So instead of using 8 inches, I'll use 7.5 inches here. And from that, on that part, that place, I'll put my bust circumference divided by 4. Bust circumference divided by 4. I will add 1 inch ease allowance. That is the allowance that will make it very free. And I will add another 1 inch seam allowance. Now the next thing I will do is to measure half of that my armhole length. Then I will come in by half an inch, like we did yesterday. If you watch yesterday's lesson, you understand this. Then I'll try to connect. Then on this part, I'll measure 1 inch. I'll measure 1 inch so that I can draw that curve. 1 inch, then I'll draw my curve, joining all the lines together. This is me just trying to get the front armhole. Alright, this is what it looks like. Then I will now, okay, before I put my waist measurements, if you are sewing armless, like sleeveless, then you come in by maybe 1 inch. You see what I'm doing? I'll come in by 1 inch or 1.5 inches. Then I'll just try and connect it like this. That is if the top you are sewing is armless. It will not get to the shoulder, the edge of the shoulder, if you understand what I'm trying to show at that point. Alright, the next thing is to put my waist measurement divided by 4. My waist divided by 4. I will add 1 inch for ease, and I will add another 1 inch for seam allowance. Now I must say that this 1 inch for ease that I'm adding, by the time I will open it up, that will be 2 inches for front, 2 inches ease for front, and 2 inches ease for back. So if you feel 4 is too much, that is 2 for front, 2 for back, that will be 4. Then you can reduce your ease allowance to maybe ½ inch. We are putting ease because our clothes does not have zip. If you don't put ease, if you use your exact measurements, you won't be able to wear the blouse, because one reason why we put zip is for us to be able to wear our clothes, apart from the fact that it beautifies it. Since you're not putting zip, then we need to put ease. The same thing I did here. This is my hip line, hip divided by 4, 1 inch ease, then another 1 inch for seam allowance. Then I will join it. Okay, since I still have some allowance there, I just decided to open the hip line a little more. So I will open only the hip, so that the hip side will be free. I want it very free. Alright, so that is all for my measurements. Now let's go to the upper part so that we can work on the neckline. And this part, if you want it curve, you can curve it like this. If you want it sharp, you leave it the way it was before. Alright, let me cut it out and then work on the neckline. I still decided to add more to the length. I just want it long, so I added like another 1 inch. I didn't cut it on the previous line, so I'll just cut it out. Alright, since this is the front, I will use this front to cut the back, and I already did that. So I have the front and I have the back. The back and the front are almost the same except for the armhole. You know, I told you the armhole for the front is a little bit deeper than that of the back. So this is what we have. Let's work on the neckline now. Depending on the type of neckline you want to do, it might be V-neck, it might be round neck. If you want it close to your neck, then you measure 3. You use 3 as your width at this point. But if you don't want it close to your neck, then you go further. Maybe you can do 3.5, 4 inches, or even 5, depending on how wide you want it to be. Just know that the more you go away, the more you go towards your shoulder, the more wide the neck will be. Then this is the depth, depending on how deep you want it to be. If you don't want it deep at all, then 3 inches. If you want it slightly deep, maybe 3.5 or 4 inches. If you want it very deep, maybe you want it to show your cleavage, then you can go maybe 7 or even 8. Alright, this is 4x4, and this is like a scoop neck or a round neck. You should know type of neck by now. We've done a class on type of neck. Then if you want it V, this is the point where you can amend it. You can measure like 7, depending on how deep you want your V to be. Then from that 4, which we measure as the width, you do a V. You mark a V like this, and you cut that shape. If you cut like this, you will have a V neck. But I don't really want a V neck for this style, so I just want a scoop neck. I'll just do 4 inches width by 5 inches depth. I don't want it too deep also, so I'll just do a round neck or a scoop neck, and I'll cut it. That will be the cutting for the front. And also you can do exactly, you can cut exactly the same size for front and back, but I wouldn't do that. Then I must say also that if you are sewing this type of blouse that will have no zip, you must make sure your neck is wide enough to pass through your head. If you know, when you open your zip, it allows your clothes to enter, to pass through your head. But now, since we are sewing a blouse without zip, the neckline must be wide enough for your head to pass through, except you are using a stretchy material. So this is the front neck, 4 inches width and 5 inches depth. Now for the back, I will do the 4 inches width also, and the 2 or 3 inches depth. Okay, I think 3 inches will be fine. Sorry, I didn't notice that my camera did not capture it well. That is 4 inches width by 3 inches depth. Then I'll just join it and I'll cut it. So that will be the neckline for the back. Alright, so this is what it looks like. The next thing is I will join the shoulder and I will tape the neckline. You can do any type of neckline at this point. I have taught you how to finish neckline, but I want to tape it with a bias. So I'll cut this fabric on bias. The way I folded it, that is what we call, I folded it in angle 45 degree. This fold is angle 45 degree, so I'll cut it, and I'll cut a bias strip. So after cutting the bias strip, I'll take it to my ironing table. I will iron it like the way a store-bought bias looks like. We've done something on bias, and I think I have a video also on how to cut bias and how to make bias. You can do well to check that video so that you understand. I will be cutting 2 inches strip, so that's what I'm marking, 2 inches. I'll cut it and I'll iron it. That is what I will use to tape the neck. So this is the bias. I'll be folding it like this and I will iron it to get a bias tape. All right, let's start the joining process. So I'll place my fabric right side to right side facing right side, and I will join the shoulder first. Just trying to confirm where is the right side and where is the left side. So I'll join it. I will connect it right side to right side, and I will join the shoulder. After joining the shoulder, I will tape the neckline with the bias tape that I just ironed. And also I must say here that you can use facing. If you ever watched the video of how to finish your neckline, you should know what facing is. So I will now tape it. This is the right side. I'll tape the neckline now. This is the bias tape that I'll be using to do the taping. This is the bias tape that I'll be using to do the taping. So after taping, I will join the shoulder. And that will be all for the neckline. The next thing to do will be to join the side. Remember our seam allowance is 1 inch, so we just use the seam allowance to do the joining. You see what the neckline looks like. I'll take it to my ironing table and iron it. Did you see it? I used the black thread for sewing so that you can see the seam. When you are sewing, always use your machine thread. Don't forget that part. So I'll be joining the front and back together using 1 inch joining allowance. So if you are as a beginner, you use your tape, you place your tape and you use your chalk or your tailor's marker to mark it. You mark the 1 inch and you join the line so that you can follow that line when you are sewing. So you can follow that line when you are sewing. So basically that is what you are going to do to the right side and to the left side. You join it, and like I said, this blouse is one of the simplest blouse you can ever sew. It's so easy. So after joining, the next thing will be to take it to the ironing table to press it very well. Alright, this is what the unfinished side looks like. Did you see what it looks like? The measurement is bigger than this mannequin. So if you want it to be armless, you just tape. You tape the arm, and that will be all. You just tape the arm, that will be all. But if you want it to have sleeve, then you cut whatever sleeve you want it. You fold the lower part, and if you want it to have slit at the side, you open the side. You open both sides and it will have slits. I want to add like a circle sleeve or a flare sleeve. So what I'll do is I'll measure my armhole. That's what I'm measuring now. I'll measure the armhole, and the armhole is 21 inches. So I'll divide 21 inches by 6.28, which is I want to cut a 360 flare. We've done flare and how to cut flare. So we'll divide since I'm cutting 360 flare, I will divide it by 6.28. If we were to cut 90 or even 180, you should know how to do that. You should know the formula. So the armhole is 21 inches. I'll divide it by 6.28, and I'll pick my fabric. I'll fold it depending on the length of my sleeve. I folded it 10 inches because I want to cut 6 inches for my sleeve. I don't want a very long sleeve, so this 10 inch will accommodate my 21 inch divided by 6.28, which will give me 3.34 inches. Then I will add my 6 inches to it, so roughly about 9.34. So this is the 3.34 that I'm measuring here. I'm sure you understand how to cut a 360 flare. So your flare can be anywhere. You can join it to your skirt. You can make it your sleeve. You can make it a peplon. Just cut the circle. So I am measuring 6 now, and I'll cut it out. That will be sleeve for one hand. All right, this is the sleeve, the round sleeve. Now there's another thing I want to do. I want the lower part, the part that is at my armhole, to be small. That's why I'm trimming off that part. So I'll trim it off a little so that that part will be my under arm. That is the part that will be under my arm. And the long part, this part I want to notch, will be on my shoulder. So that by the time the sleeve falls, the lower part will not show that much. So I will fold my fabric now into two. Did you see the sleeve? One side is short and one side is long. The long part will be on the shoulder. The short part will be at the armhole, the lower part, the under the arm. So I'll just sew it around on my blouse. Now let me use it to cut the second one. What I'll just do is I'll fold my fabric into two. And I'll place that sleeve that I just cut. I'll cut it out. Then after cutting, I will go to my sewing machine and I will join the sleeve. And after joining the sleeve, I will hem the sleeve. I will use a rolled hem. You should know what a rolled hem is. If you've been following my class, you should know double fold hem and rolled hem. So for this sleeve, because I cut it in a circular form and I want the hemming to be very neat, I'll be using a rolled hem to do the finishing. But the main blouse itself, I will do double fold at the lower part of the blouse. And basically that is all. I hope you understand how to sew this blouse without zip. It is easy and simple, and it's one of the easiest projects you can always do as someone who is learning how to sew. I hope you are going to try it. I hope you are going to try it. Alright, so these are the two sleeves. I will go right now and attach them to my blouse. And I'll come back to show you the finished product. You see, this is the blouse. I'll just attach it to the right and to the left. Alright, after joining, this is what I have. This is the front of the blouse. And this is what the back looks like. Alright, I'll see you tomorrow in another class.